What's going on, shoe fanatics? Welcome back to the channel. I got a special one here today. Now, this one is super late though, and I know how YouTube algorithm works, right? If you're not early, you're late. If you're not first, you're literally last. And this one came in so late, but that's to be expected. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get right into the box. We have here a depiction of what it was like to be back in the summer of 1996, the year that Beth Burkett and Chris Gibbs met, and they kind of fell in love. That's kind of the story of the summer of 96 in a nutshell. You have housing here in New York that's displayed over the box, as well as some models and some pictures of models and stuff going on with this funky logo here. The logo, of course, is the Jordan brand logo, the Bephie's Beauty Supply logo, the Union logo, and of course 96, summer of 96. And that gives you an indication about what's inside the box. As I mentioned, this is a collaboration between husband and wife partnership, Beth Burkett and Chris Gibbs. And you have the Bephie's Beauty Supply logo right here. Very cool, very nice, very, poignant to the community. And on the other side, you have the Union logo here, owned by Chris Gibbs. Up on the top, you have more of the same, the tri-branding, Bephie's Beauty Supply, Union, and Jordan brand with the stamp here, summer of 96. Inside, the wax paper does have a screen print of the same buildings that make its way onto the box itself. It's like crinkling. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Of course, buildings right here again, summer of 96, Air Jordan, the place in New York where Beth and Chris met. Ladies and gentlemen, I am finally pleased to present to you the Air Jordan 1 Union Bephie's Beauty Supply 1. This took forever to get here. So right off the bat, you have your not so standard Air Jordan 1, and it is a doozy. There's a lot to talk about. So let's talk about the shoe, and then we'll talk about the shoe. On the bottom, you have a standard Air Jordan 1 sole, radial traction pad, very nice, very cool. I mean, I don't even know why I said that. It's the same as every 2,000 pair of Air Jordan 1 you've ever put on your foot. Sail colored midsole. Now, typically I want to steer away from that because it's been on like every Jordan release ever. But now it's very appropriate, and I like it on this particular shoe. Also, as an FYI, the sole and the midsole are two different colors. Just keep that in mind. Typically, I like to talk about the Air Jordan 1 similarities first, just kind of get that out of the way, and then talk about the differences of special models later. But clearly, we have an elephant in the room, and it is this weave. This very different standout design choice on this shoe, which this is definitely a special shoe. But yes, we have this weave that's taken from the Nike Footscape. It's a woven weave of thread that's kind of cross-weaved into the shoe, tying the top half and the bottom half of the shoe together. It's definitely different. It's jarring. It's visually just different than what you've seen before on the Jordan 1 at least, but here it makes its way to the shoe. Now real quick, the actual inspiration came from Bephie's inclusion into the shoe, her contribution to the design process. And it's not necessarily that the Footscape was her favorite shoe, but she had these design elements in her mind, in particular celebrating her Caribbean heritage. And her mom and her grandma had these weaved sandals, these weaved baskets, and she wanted to take away some of that and put it into the shoe. So when she wanted to incorporate those elements into the shoe, Nike already had kind of the perfect solution for that with the Nike Footscape. And so that concept mixed with that particular silhouette was able to bridge the gap together and put this shoe together. I mean, as it were, it's literally holding the shoe together. Continuing on up, you have this nice upper. That's a nice suede. It's a very, very, very short hair suede, almost like a felt material, but still cool, very nice. I like it a lot. I'm digging the colorway. And then you have what is up top, some nice soft leather. I know some people don't really care to talk about the leather quality, and that's cool. But listen, it's very nice. It seems very supple. I'm taking out the paper here so you guys can kind of see the bounce back on this guy. And the leather quality is pretty nice. I mean, it goes with the whole theme of the shoe. It's a premium shoe. Although it does have the kind of moccasin feel to it, it's still very nice. And the leather is pretty buttery and it takes it up a notch. Continuing up the shoe, the same material that's on the swoosh, you have here up on the collar. And again, that nice gray, it ties the shoe together very well. I do like the overall color scheme of the shoe. The sock liner, of course, is that thick mesh material. I do like how it feels. I mean, I feel like this part could have been a little bit better to kind of tie the shoe on it together, but I'm not mad at it. Like, I'm not hating the shoe because of it. Typical of the first two Jordan 1 Union releases, you have the tag here, which is stitched in that beautiful yellow colorway, which is Union to LA. Union LA. Union is in LA. That's what it is. Union LA. Again, another staple of the Union Jordan 1. You had this light mint green, I guess, stitching all around the shoe, including on the tongue itself. Now, it's my first time pulling the shoe out, and I'm just now seeing that there is stitching on the tongue as well. I did not see that from promo pictures because I didn't kind of dive and do a 360 into the shoe. but this is the first time I'm seeing stitching on the actual tongue. So the entire thing would be stitched around to keep the shoe together. I like that a lot. Speaking of the tongue, you do have the standard mesh material, but again, in true Union fashion, you do have exposed foam in here, and I like that unfinished look. I mean, it's a staple of Union again. Nike and Jordan Brand have done on other shoes, including like the Crimson Tint ones and some others, but I do like that exposed foam at the top. Very, very nice. You have a gray tongue tag with white Nike Air lettering on it. Now the Ball and Wings logo is humongous. It is oversized, and again, I did not know that that is actually a staple of Union's releases. I did not know that because I don't have the other two Union Jordan 1s, and I'll probably never have them if I'm being honest, but this is where we're at right now. Huge logo, very nice though. I like the touch that Jordan Brand and Union does with these Jordan 1s. I mean, the package as a whole, very nice. On the rear of this shoe, and hopefully you can zoom in and catch this, you have BBS, which is Bephie's Beauty Supply, stitched inside of this part back here where the swoosh meets the back collar. I really do like this. Again, collaboration, co-branding, they got it. Nothing too special about the insole of the shoe, except it is that colorway, which I do like. I mean, it's only place it exists is on the stitching itself, but it's still nice contrast. I do think that this shoe could have benefited more from this color green, but we'll talk about that more in a second. Now, speaking of laces, again, a staple of Union is a Union style lace where you have a typical lace length, but it is kind of split, not necessarily in half, maybe like a 60-40 kind of distribution, where you have a separate color lace. So in this particular case, it's white, and the other part of the lace is gray. You've seen this on previous Jordan releases where I think the other Union had a black and yellow lace, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Even on non-Union shoes like the Air Jordan 1 handcrafted, you can see they came with a Union style lace. Of course, this would be at the bottom of the shoe, it would be laced up, and the actual tips would be this hot pink or salmon colored lace, which I really do like a lot. I just didn't think it fit in that particular shoe. But of course, this inspiration came from Union. And lastly, speaking of laces, of course, we have this Move to Zero initiative box, and this thing's all beat to hell, so I'm just gonna go ahead and beat it up. And you have this nice golden rod lace. I mean, I don't know what you kind of call that. It's gold, yellow, whatever you want. Very nice. It kind of tunes into the overall theme of the shoe. And speaking of that, as I always say, the studio has these funky colors in it, trying to give you guys a good presentation. Hopefully you guys will be able to see on the lining of the actual shoe itself here, on the back side of the lace holes. I think under, up here on a collar, hopefully you guys are seeing this. It's yellow, it's like tinted yellow. So even those little design cues, visually, they may not seem like much at first, but when you take in the picture with your eye and put it all together, it gives you this nice functioning package. And it really works a lot. As a side note too, that I just noticed, there's actually no stitching on the actual swoosh. Typically the swoosh is stitched right here at the panel between the heel and the actual upper. There's a stitch somewhere right here. It's not present on this particular shoe. So again, this one is laid on top and I guess stitched down, overlaid on the actual swoosh, but not down on the panel. Of course, because you have this weave here. So different, just different. That's pretty much it for the design and construction of the shoe. I mean, like I said, Union has given us two bangers and that are really worth a lot on the aftermarket. I really don't care about the aftermarket prices. I do want the shoes. But when people heard that we were getting a third Union iteration, this is not what they had in mind. Although I had not seen the shoe, I had been privy to the information that it was not going to be your ordinary Jordan 1 silhouette. I had known previously that would have the foot skate motif on it. Again, when you consider the story of why Bephie wanted to include the weave on here, it makes a lot of sense. And overall, the shoe itself, man, it's a grown shoe. I mean, it's not something that you can just put on and wear. You kind of really think about what you're going to wear with this. And I like the thought process. I like the ability to have to put together an outfit to go with this and be strategic about it. Typically with the Jordan 1, the reason why it's such a great silhouette is because you can literally just grab and go. You know what I mean? This one, you kind of got to be a little more thought-provoking when you put this on. And I really do like that about it. So as I mentioned, this was a collaboration between Bephie's Beauty Supply and Union, Beth Burkett and Chris Gibbs respectively. Now, Beth did get the opportunity to design her own Air Jordan 1, and it came out very similar to this, except she decided to go in a more feminine approach and use the Air Jordan 1 Women's Elevate. That shoe has a much thicker platform on it, and again, that's very decidedly a feminine shoe. And we'll get into the men wearing women's shoes thing later, but that's very decidedly a feminine shoe. And if I'm honest, I think the actual colorway, I'm going to try to put it up here somewhere, but I think it has the green swoosh, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment. That colorway, I think, is marginally better than this one. I like the use of the tertiary color in the shoe, tertiary being the third color in the shoe. I think it's executed really well. And to be honest, if that shoe had this same kind of form without the platform, I think I would have tried to buy both or that may have been my #1 option if I'm being honest. Now, Beth is never one to shy away from a design choice. She obviously put out this Air Jordan 7 that came out, I think last year sometime, and definitely had some different design cues to it. Y'all gotta excuse me because my wife beats the hell out of these shoes. But here again, you have the Air Jordan 7 in this Bephie Beauty Supply, form. It's got this netting, got this whole kind of rope lace. I did a review on it. It's actually a pretty cool shoe. My wife likes it a lot. But again, Bephie does think outside the box. And so when you see this footscape kind of motif coming to the shoe, you can understand her way of thinking and how she wants to put out her design. As you can see, there's also similarities in the colorways. These earth tones really do it. I like it a whole lot. The reason why Beth chose an Air Jordan 7 is because she actually wanted to do an Air Jordan 11 and got told no. And it should be well known at this point, it has nothing to do with her or anybody else. Jordan Brand famously protects the Air Jordan 11 from collaborations. I think the Air Jordan 11 is Mike's favorite silhouette, and it is a no-go to collab. So do that information as you will. I don't even think he lets the Dornbecker kids get a hold of the Air Jordan 11. I mean, he is Team FTK. But overall, I think I've rambled on enough. I like the shoe. I like the shoe a whole lot. And overall, I'm very happy to have this as my first Air Jordan 1 Union. I mean, they have the AJKOs, they have 2s, they have 4s, but none of those have made it into my collection. They have all escaped my grasp thus far, except this one. And I actually got this one from the Union website 2 months ago. I don't know. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, $25 for shipping for this shoe, for them to take a month to get it to my house is kind of egregious. That's the price you pay when you're dealing directly with boutiques. As a matter of fact, the Union drop that came on Sneakers app, I think folks who got the Sneakers app drop actually got their pairs before those who got the Union drop, which was a couple days before the Sneakers drop. Now, the great thing about this is because this shoe was so polarizing, it's not worth an astronomical amount of money, at least as of yet, on the aftermarket. I think the shoe is hovering somewhere around $250 on the aftermarket, which is great because, I mean, this shoe, I think it's worth $250. The shoe could have came out for $250 and I still probably would have bought it, if I'm being honest. But $200 for this shoe, I think, is a pretty good steal for the amount of materials, thought, and history into the shoe. I know some of you guys don't want to pay for thought and history. You just want hype and collab and clout. And if that's the case, this shoe is not for you. I suggest you put your pennies towards the Storm Blue and the other one, but to each his own. But for the rest of us, we have a nice, grown, summertime ready shoe, accessible and ready to wear whenever you want to get down. So I'm about to put this guy on foot. I'm going to give you the one lace swap option for the shoe, I think. But this has been the Air Jordan 1 Bephie's Beauty Supply Union Summer of '96 release, man. So if you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, wait for more content from me. And as always, guys, I have been Jay Shoe Fanatic. Until the next one, I'll catch you later. I want to thank you all for your continued support. If you guys want to continue to support the channel, do me a favor, head over to oldschoolrookie.com. Check out these Geeks to Soul shirts. Of course, if you're not familiar, Geeks to Soul is the crew, man. It's me, Lex Luthor, Mr. Unloved Ones. We do a show every Monday night at 9 p.m. This is the crew, man. So do me a favor, check us out on Instagram and hit the link down below in the description to purchase your t-shirt. Slots are going soon. This is a pre-order and pre-order ends quickly. So head on over. Not a smell. Oh, the original cut. There it absolutely is. I might like it better than the 2020 version. Those ones right. And I had to